As someone who grew up with the new Super Mario Bros. Games, man did they ironically start to get old after a little while, which kind of left 2D Mario in a state of being somewhat generic and safe, and then later on dormant, which is honestly kind of weird to think about. That's why I was beyond excited for Super Mario Bros. Wonder, a new installment in possibly my favorite franchise that isn't Smash, and in a way, back to its roots. So sign me up, and after playing it, I can confirm that Super Mario Bros. Wonder is, pun intended, a wonderful ride all the way through. But let's talk about it. Hi guys, DPX here, reviewing today Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Now before we get started, you know what to do. Be sure to like this video, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell, and leave a comment, or I will trap your princess inside of another castle. Starting with the good, first thing I want to talk about is just how unique Super Mario Bros. Wonder is, at least when it comes to Mario. Most of the new Soup games feel like retreads of the original Super Mario Bros. And then 3D Land and 3D World feel like ordinary 2D Mario games with a third access, 3D World being a little bit more different, but still. Super Mario Bros. Wonder, however, it almost feels like a 3D Mario game, but missing an access, and I mean that in the best way possible. For a while, it felt like Mario only got wacky and weird and experimental in 3D, but all that gets incorporated into this 2D game, which I think translates very well. The gameplay feels really nice. It feels exactly how a modernized version of Mario 3 or Mario World should feel. The physics feel almost like Odyssey at times, and getting all that in a 2D platformer I think is quite impressive. There are many characters that you play as, the most of any mainline Mario game in fact, with a whopping 12 characters. You got Mario, who is your all-round character, Luigi, who can jump higher, Peach, who is floaty, and Toad, who is fast. That's your returning characters, of course, and with Toad you got Blue Toad, Yellow Toad, along with Toadette, who I want to say is a newcomer, but she was in New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, so in other words, she was a newcomer. Then you also got an actual newcomer, Daisy, who is pretty much just like Peach, but it is really cool to see Daisy make her playable debut in a mainline Mario game. And on top of those characters, you got the returning Nabbit, along with Green Yoshi, Blue Yoshi, Yellow Yoshi, and Red Yoshi, to provide somewhat of an easy mode for the game. I often saw myself switching between all of the characters throughout the game, aside from the easy mode characters, who I'll get into in a bit later, and I found all the characters a lot of fun, even though in the grand scheme of things I didn't find all of them to be all that different. However, I mostly played Luigi and Daisy. The latter, I guess, because I just like to gravitate towards the newcomers. There are also power-ups in this game. Whoa, really? Of course you got the usuals, the mushroom, the fire flower, the star, but Mario Wonder introduces 3 new power-ups. The one that was all over the marketing was the elephant power-up. It's something I admittedly never asked for, but I'm happy with it because it is really cool. It's almost like the Tanuki, except you can attack in front with your trunk, and you also can't fly. But whenever the game gave me an option between multiple power-ups to choose from, I often went with the elephant. Another new power-up is the bubble flower. This works almost like the fire flower, except you shoot bubbles, and you can trap and kill enemies, collect coins, or jump on them like a platform. And lastly, we got the drill mushroom, which lets you go into the wall, floor, or ceiling and get through certain levels in ways you wouldn't be able to otherwise. Although I made it clear that the elephant is my favorite, I still really like all the power-ups, but I don't know if this counts as a power-up, but I think it's time to talk about the Wonder Flower. Pretty much, it's this giant glowing flower that pops up if you trigger it, and basically the whole level just goes apeshit. It makes the game even more wacky and makes each level a little more unpredictable. I also love the art style that this game went with. I don't mean to keep dogpiling on the new Soup games, but they really did have such a generic aesthetic. But Super Mario Bros. Wonder has a very cartoony looking art style and it looks great. Speaking of looking great, this might be one of the best looking games on the Nintendo Switch in terms of the visuals. It just looks stunning for sure. And I know I've harped on this a lot already, but I really gotta talk more about just how unique it is for 2D Mario. For example, there are many new enemies in this game, like a lot of new enemies, and often those new enemies are in levels where they could have easily just put a Goomba or Koopa Troopa there, But it wouldn't make sense to do that, so instead of putting a Koopa Troopa in a beach level, for example, they put a snail as an enemy, who you can still jump on and throw their shell like a regular Koopa Troopa. That's just one example. On top of that, the game isn't necessarily linear in how you're supposed to play it. There are a certain number of worlds in the game and a certain number of levels in each world. You can skip certain levels, and you can, for example, unlock World 6 before World 5. There are limits specifically when it comes to skipping levels, as there are certain levels you need to clear before unlocking other levels, but I still like this. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is something that 2D Mario has needed for a very long time. Moving on to the mixed, these are things that I don't know if they go in good or if they go in bad, so I'm putting them in the mixed. The first thing I'm mixed on is the music. Once again, not trying to shit on New Soup this whole video, but those games kinda just recycled the same generic ass music, and Mario Wonder certainly has some new music. It all sounds good, you know, it doesn't sound bad at all, but nothing really got stuck in my head. Mario music usually is pretty good, and Wonder's soundtrack is far from bad, but it's definitely not memorable. And the other thing I'm mixed on is the easy mode characters. I did say I would get to them. Don't get me wrong, I think it's cool that you actually get to play as Yoshi in a mainline Mario game as his own character, let alone 4 of him, and Nabbit is also sort of just here, but I almost kind of would have preferred if there weren't 5 easy mode characters. I get why there are, it's for co-op, they don't want one player to have an unfair advantage, or at least like have it so that all 4 players can pick an easy character. But maybe my issue isn't so much with the 4 Yoshis and Nabbit as much as it is I kind of would have preferred one more character that could be played normally, maybe like a Rosalina or a Wario, because there are 12 playable characters, sure, but not really. A whopping 5 of them have a bit of an asterisk next to them, but it's in the mix because it ultimately didn't bother me that much. Moving on to the bad, although I did say that Super Mario Bros. Wonder is very unique, it still does kind of play it safe in many areas. Specifically the difficulty, as it is really rather easy, but my main disappointment with the game is the boss fights. Pretty much, you fight Bowser Jr. a few times, and then you fight the final boss, and I will say, I thought the final boss was pretty cool, and the Bowser Jr. boss fights were different from the other Bowser Jr. boss fights from other games, but as for this game in particular, it did kind of feel like the same Bowser Jr. boss fight many times, with some differences, sure, but it did kind of feel a little repetitive after a little while. But honestly, that's really it for my complaints. Even though it still plays it somewhat safe in some areas, I still really loved my time with Super Mario Bros. Wonder. After 2D Mario playing it safe for years, and then for a while after that, sort of just being dormant, Super Mario Bros. Wonder certainly is a new era for Mario, and more 2D and possibly even 3D Mario games should take from this one. In the end, I give Super Mario Bros. Wonder a 9.5 out of 10. So that's my review for Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Sorry it's going up quite a bit later than it probably should have. I'm sure most of you already know if this game is good or not. I had a lot of stuff going on, and also, if you can't tell in my voice, I am kind of sick. What do you guys think about Super Mario Bros. Wonder? Do you guys like it, not like it? Have you guys played it, not played it? If you guys haven't played it, do you guys want to play it, not want to play it? Anything about the game, let me know down below. Anyways, be sure to like the video, comment, subscribe, or I will trap your princess in another castle. Bye!